a cutting scheme or whatever, they'll know about this, and somebody should take more care of it. They didn't only mow the plants down on Carberries, they mowed the side down as well, and somebody took it. But I think if we work with them to do that, that's the best way forward.
They're giving us two options, aren't they? One involves us buying some seed and then actually doing some ground prep, and the other one which is just a mow and see what happens. So do we want to tell them which one we're...
The parish council sites, I think, should be where...
Are you going to get them to do it? Wait for them to actually do it, not us?
The parish council ones we do, but I'm considering... I've asked for item 14 and 6 to be taken together, haven't I? So it's kind of like linking the two together.
So we're going to do our areas kind of like we have before,
Yeah.
and we're going to get S&D to do that.
Yeah.
So in this email, it gives us two options, doesn't it? It says option 1 involves us just mowing and then removing and mowing and removing to allow species to naturally develop, and then option 2 is this compromise wherein we can purchase some seeds and they will prepare a small area and put those seeds in. So that there will be a cost to us if we do that one. Do we want to not do that one? We'll just do our thing and take the free one from them.
And what do people think? I mean, my preference would be to do our thing that we did before, and then let Wakefield sort out their as part of their scheme.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't cost us any
That's
money.
what I'd be in line with as well.
Sorry, what did you do before?
With S&D landscaped, we identified areas that we own, the parish council own, like outside the cemetery and various other bits in the village. S&D, I think it's called scarifying it or whatever, they took out turf off it and planted some wildflower seeds in. So there was a crescent, for example, there's a crescent on the village green, and there was a space outside the cemetery on the sort of banking that goes down to the cemetery side at Main Road. There was about 6 areas that we did. The one area on Cambridge that we own that actually they gang mowed it, the council didn't take any notice of the sign that we put up. There's a triangle down low Ackworth where it goes up to what else is there? There were 6 altogether, weren't there? Well,
so there was the Low Ackworth triangle,
yeah.
the Ginnell, which they also roads.
Yeah.
Outside the cemetery, the village green, I'm trying to remember. There was Carbridge as well, which...
Carbridge, maybe there was 5 then. We just thought it was a project that we thought we could do and see how it went, and hopefully encourage Wakefield, who own most of the land, obviously, highways and things like that. They own most of the grass verges at the side of the road. They would be then encouraged to, as part of their scheme. Since then, since we did that two years ago, they've adopted this Natures and Needs scheme and all the tree planting and things like that. So they're wanting to develop this. We've been banging on about it for 4 years. They're wanting to develop it now. So hopefully, like in other authorities, lots of the grass verges have disappeared and it's wildflower planting. We would want Wakefield Council to take that on, not us. A, because it's not our land, and B, because it won't cost us all if they do it. So we haven't got the budget to do it. And them asking us to, as a compromise, to purchase the seeds, I just think, you know, it's not on really. But I mean, other people think.
Well, I suppose at least then we're only paying for the seeds, not for the scarifying and scraping as well.
Yeah, well, that's the big thing, because we haven't got the facility to do it. Anyway.
But we did leave... Sorry, just to jump in quickly, because it was... the year after, we did sort of like leave the seeds to see if they'd come back the next year. That wasn't as successful. No. So we did find that preparing the land and everything was it did work better. They got better results. So.
Gemma.
I was just going to add to the conversation that currently the areas that are classed as successful in the main and the village green, so we own the village green, The triangle in Low Ackworth and the gully is still Wakefield Council land, which is why in the past it's been mowed. So we've tried to highlight to Wakefield Council to work with us, and our caretakers are currently mowing around the section to stop Wakefield Council from mowing it. In terms of S&D landscape, we have used them in the past. This year around, we've asked our caretaking team to prepare the areas to encourage the regrowth back. And I know myself and some of the staff team, we were planting last summer in the hope that this year they come through again. So there isn't currently a set schedule for S&D to do the scarifying and all of that side of it. We bring that to another committee meeting in terms of cost.
Yeah.
So the current ones that the Ackworth Parish Council are responsible for, it's in a self-seed state at the moment to see what comes back through this year.
Yeah.
And the only thing I'd like to say is these ones in blue on this email, these are ones that this committee had already recommended, and that was the shortlist that Wakefield Council have come through with to say these are the areas that they have said would be acceptable. I think what they are actually wanting us to do is either confirm those 5 areas or to select some from those 5 locations that were previously provided. And I know many of them are the ones that you've mentioned already, Martin.
Yeah.
We could add more to the future, but they're looking to select areas to start the process to see how successful
Well,
it is.
I think I don't people think, I think as a start, then these areas that are outlined in blue on the email, that'll be a start. I mean, obviously, when they say, Downdow Way is a big area. Whether they mean just going to do some patches Downdow Way, but maybe it's up to them to sort that one out and see how it works. It's never going to be 100% because you can plant and then have a really dry spell or a wet spell or whatever. And it's never going to be.
I'll just double check where Beechwood Drive is.
That's High Ackworth as you're coming down from the water tower, isn't it?
Just at that
Yeah.
bend.
Where they keep parking that van, so we'll have to stop the van parking there.
Isn't that the Beach Drive?
Oh, I thought that was Beechwood, is it?
Because I did Google Maps it, and
And there's no
I
such
was
place.
there's no such place.
Yeah.
It's like there's either the like I mentioned, there's
I was assuming it was there. Because we talked about it there.
there's Beechdale, but there's no Beechwood. So there's a Beechdale Drive and there's a Beech Drive.
Beechdale.
So the actual Beechwood is.
I thought that's where it was.
Yeah.
But then it could be Google that's wrong. So
Yeah.
let's not just assume that they are.
Where is Beechdale?
That's, as you're coming down from the water tower into Ackworth, there's an estate on your right.
That's
Which
Beach,
has
isn't it?
Beach
That's
Drive,
Beach.
Yeah, yeah.
There was Beechdale, I wondered.
Beechdale. Just
Well, can we ask? We could maybe just ask for clarification.
Yeah, what is this?
I'll see what we originally sent over, because like I say, it was this committee that had identified the location, so maybe they've just typed it over.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah, so I'll just check that
Maybe
one out.
Beechwood Drive. Put question mark on that.
And are we all happy to let them have a go at the Low Ackworth Triangle and Ginnell then?
Just
and
to-
let them do it?
to confirm, Beechdale Drive is in Low Ackworth. It's
So, off the courtway.
yes.
It's Beechdale then. Well, I think so. I think let them have a go with the triangle and the,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not all in panel 5, sorry.
Sorry, so to scarify and plant seeds with those 5 areas, or to do
So the 5 areas is just
Meadow.
it is Wakefield's Meadow. So that's
it
what
does
they're.
take several years though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we don't start it, it won't happen.
No, but I mean, well over half dozen plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only one I had slight reservations about was the triangle, because that's quite a key one as you approach and leave the village in Low Ackworth. And we had it really nice one year, didn't we?
Yeah.
So it'd be a shame if we're looking at 6 years of it looking like a bit of a wilderness, because Low Ackworth doesn't get much in the way of facilities particularly. So I just wondered whether we should do that one as part of our planting scheme, that and the village green. Yeah.
I could always, just for the committee, I could go back to Wakefield Council if you've got certain areas that you want to progress forward further and ask them what the cost would be for that area of the seeding. So
Yeah.
we could split it, some areas could be
Yeah.
That'd be a
self-seeding,
compromise.
some could
Yeah,
be...
good point.
I think certainly the ends of the villages that are seen when people come in, like
Yeah.
outside the cemetery, that triangle and things like that, that's important to
Yeah,
have
so
something.
maybe it's worth getting them to do the labour and
Yeah.
supply the seed for those few bits.
They could cost it out on the
Well,
actual
let's-
kilo and square metre.
Look how it
wouldn't
costs
they?
it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, because they're relatively small, whereas Dando Way and
Oh, yeah,
they're
yeah.
big, so I'm happy for those to be meadowed, but
Yeah,
if we could go to seed for that.
I think so.
So do we need a proposal and a proposer and seconder for the areas?
Yeah.
What do you want to propose that?
Propose that we go to Wakefield Council, suggest that we'd be happy to buy seed for the Low Ackworth Triangle in Gully, and let them experiment with the meadowing self-seeding process with the other areas.
Yeah, then we can see how.
Yeah.
Second that,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, okay. All those in favour of that? Yeah. It's unanimous then. Okay. Seeds are us. 7, to receive an update from this committee on the picture location and review for recommendation to council. Well, I think you're going to...
So what the, obviously we've been going backwards and forwards with Wakefield Council over, because originally we were going to have a car bridge, and it kept going backwards and forwards and getting lost in departments, and then they had a restructuring, and my recollection was that we were going to recommend it to go in High Ackworth, which should be close to the actual original pit, it'd be closer to that heritage and would possibly be more meaningful. And I'd suggest on the village green there is like there's a bench and there's a bench and then there's some grass area, then you've got like the road, the brown camp up, so I'd suggest it going there because then it's in quite a nice spot, an area, it can be seen, people can walk to it if they wish. Whereas if it was like in the triangular bit of the village green, I think it'd just be a bit lost in that bit. Whereas if it's near where the bench is and so on, that'd be a bit of a better.
On the top of the...
So that's me.
To which side of the bench?
Where the
Like
monument
right?
is.
On the other side, so you've got like the cross on one side,
Yeah.
haven't you?
Yeah.
And then you have the pit up on the other.
So there's nothing else
I
there?
suppose it might have, there's the BT
Sorry,
there.
my image is
The
this.
BT unit is on that green, to the right. So I suppose it might hide that a little bit. Zoom.
Can I just quickly check that? That's our land, isn't it? It's on the village green
Yes,
still.
that's our-
yeah.
that's our-
Oh, so the
From
shelter's
picture.
there, yeah.
That's
That's little shelter, has a bench. Yeah.
But the advantage is it's our land, so we can...
And in terms of maintenance, it's quite close and easy
Yeah.
to get to
so,
as well.
Yeah, there's a little, there's just a post box and the telephone.
It's not spoiling any sight lines from the road.
And I don't think the Heritage Group, when they have their events, they don't use that bottom end, they
No.
use the higher up bit.
Just
So,
in top end.
so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that was also a consideration because another heritage group do there. So it's kind of having it out their way but joined in with their bits as well.
That's one question to bear in mind. Would we need permission with it being in the conservation area to put anything
Good
on there?
question. Good question. We probably would.
That's a good, yeah. Could we find out
Yeah.
about...
Contact Wakefield and see if we
Office to find out
need to-
about-
Do you need to see the image?
Can you send it to me separately? And
Yeah, of
obviously, once
course.
it goes through recommendation and things like that to council, I can get on with it.
Could I make a suggestion that we, in principle, agree that we would site it on our land on the village green, a suitable place on the village green, subject to permission being sought if it's a although I don't know what the rules and regulations about conservation area. I might say no way. I don't know. But in principle, can we agree that the village green is the spot for it if it's suitable?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you're proposing, are you
I'll
seconding?
propose
Thank you.
I'll say, yeah.
In
Yeah.
favour of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's everybody. Right, item 8 then, to receive, excuse me, to receive a lease from Wakefield Council regarding the adoption of the youth shelter for recommendation to full council. There's been a number of issues around the lease, which is item number 8. There's a few things that I think are a bit ambiguous or a bit strange. Martin, do you want to mention?
Yes, so having had a look through the lease that Wakefield Council have sent us, I just find that under the point, so tenants' responsibilities, which essentially means that we're responsible for it, which, fair enough, that's okay, but then further down you've got restrictions, which is we have to give Wakefield Council 2 weeks prior notice before we do anything. I just think it's a kind of have your cake and eat it situation. Do you want us to be responsible for it or not? You know, if that building is, as we've already mentioned this evening and previously and on social media, there are issues with it, it needs work doing to it. We can't be waiting for Wakefield Council with 2 weeks notice, and we also know that they're unreliable sometimes in getting back to us, so then it won't be 2 weeks, it could be 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So I just think that the lease is actually unworkable with what it's asking us to do. So based on that, I would say we don't accept the lease. We need to ask more questions. We need to get more reassurances, and we need to get something that's more workable.
Has our solicitor looked at the lease as well?
Sorry, I didn't.
Or do we have a solicitor that's looked at the lease?
This lease, this is just the first draft that comes to the committee first, so this is in draft form from Wakefield. So only there, I think, after would be an action from this committee to council.
And they usually would look at the lease on our behalf.
Yeah.
I think
And they were just my thoughts on it.
Yes.
On it, just look at it.
I think we need more information on the makeup of the lease before we agree to it. So I think if we defer this until we have got further information, we can bounce it back to Wakefield Council from this committee and say we need further information, especially on the restrictions.
Restrictions, that's number 3, isn't it?
3.
The responsibilities and the restrictions, because again, within the 2 week period, are we still responsible for it, even though we're having to get, it's almost like we're having to get notice and consent from Wakefield. Well, if they're holding it up, surely I don't see why we should be liable for that. So I think that there's quite a few questions over that you've got, Sarah, as well. So,
Yeah, I think our experience on other leases is that, you know, there are sort of standard leases, paragraphs that are picked out and put together that don't necessarily meet specific circumstances like we've got.
yeah.
So, yeah, I agree we need to ask them, tell them what the specific circumstances are. Because whoever's put this together has just picked one off a shelf, haven't they, really?
Yeah.
So it needs to be specific to the circumstances, that it's something that could be in a dangerous state, you know, if it's damaged, that would need immediate attention, and this doesn't meet the situation.
So if we could communicate our problems with that.
Sorry. Sean Richford has been in communication with WMDC about this since 2017, about the state of it, and kindly shared the information with me. What was originally the case is that the repair costs were to be shared between WMDC and Ackworth Parish Council. But it seems as though we were the ones who spent nearly £2,500 on it a while ago, from what I could see going back. So you were right, WMDC haven't taken responsibility for inspecting it or maintaining it at all. And it doesn't really seem like it's in a fit state to take on anyway. You know, do we really want to spend £670 on survey and legal fees, plus our legal fees, and then probably a lot of money on getting it into a fit state to take it on? It isn't really an asset, it's more of a liability.
Well, I mean, that's a debatable point, whether it's an asset or not, because it originally was set up for the youth of the village to use, and people still use it. So as a parish council, we've got to accept that it is an asset, it has been an asset, and whatever state it's in, then we have to look at that and take responsibility for it. If it needs repairing, it needs repairing. Or it could get to a state where it's in such bad repair that we pay to get it moved, get it removed, but that's a decision that we have to take. I think if we're going to look at it in the longer term, we have to make a decision whether we want it or not, whether it's so.
And just what Susie's quoted, I'm not sure whether that information is part of the parish council information, because Councillor Richmond was a councillor at that time, I think.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if it was done on an individual, private basis, an individual basis, that information is not part of the body of, will not be part of the body of information that the parish council holds about shared costs. And so I think we need to work on what we, as a body, you know, what the information that we hold, and take decisions based on that.
Could that be asked though of Wakefield Council about shared costs to get it to the correct state? Because I agree with you, John, in the terms of we could all have a debate as to what are assets and what aren't, and what's sort of like a drain of resources, what's a great use of resources, you know, and everyone may come to different opinions. I do personally think that, you know, the youth do use that facility still, so I do still think if we removed it, you know, where else then would they go, what else would they have